feel euphoria because now we are going to be spending some time with an unblemished personality who shone brightly with diplomacy, being the former diplomat of India, the head of the Council for Higher Education in our state, the ambassador to UK, High Commissioner, Secretary, and the list goes so on. Good evening, sir. We are extremely glad to have you to the session. Okay, sir. So, how was it taking part in the Indian Foreign Service for 37 years?
Well, it passed like a few moments, 37 years. Looking back at it, it looks very long. But every 3 years, we had a new place, new house, new language, new culture, new school for the children. Unimaginable. Every 3 years to have such a big change. From Moscow to Nairobi to Washington to New York to Vienna. It's an amazing experience, and I would never exchange it for anything else. If I have another birth, I will still want to be in the Foreign Service.
Thank you for your answer, sir.
Students always opt for medicine and engineering since they follow a conventional pattern for choosing their career. They are quite unaware of all the other streams which open a stupendous number of opportunities. In your opinion, what are the novel education policies that can be brought up to nourish the upcoming skills of the students?
Well, the new education policy has done something extremely important. It liberalized education in India. That is the spirit of it. I tried it myself some years ago in Kerala to reform education. I failed considerably because they used violence against me. So that is the kind of reaction to ideas in Kerala. Not that I did anything. Just for saying that you must have a liberal education, I was attacked by students who did not know what they were doing. So from that, we have come to a stage where the whole country is electrified by the new changes. And the major change, of course, details are there, so many of them. Many of them may not even finally work out. But the spirit of new education policy is a liberal education. You must have the right to choose what you want to learn. Even if by mistake you land up in a course which is not helpful to you, you should be able to exit. You join a zoology course, let's say, because you have a fancy about frogs or whatever. After 1 year, you will find this is an absolutely absurd thing. 3 years, you do a frog or what? So suppose you want to live. Today, you cannot do it. 3 years, you fail, pass, then you can do something. Here, you can quit like in other countries. If after 1 year, you don't like it, you can quit and you lose nothing because they will give you the credits you could put in a bank. And then you do whatever you like. You want to go to Gulf and work and make some money, come back, do something else, social service. And this credit will remain there. And the 1 year that you do, you get a certificate. If you do 2 years, you get a diploma. If you do 3 years, you get a degree. And 4 years, you go to higher education. We had no such provision. And people were rotting. People even who got admission in engineering college couldn't cope with it. So they spent years learning engineering and then became bus conductors because there was no other option available. So this is the main aspect of the new education policy.
That was really interesting, sir. Thank you.
You have made a multilateral experience, being an ambassador, the permanent representative of India to the United Nations, the governor of India in the International Atomic Energy Agency, secretary, and so on. Sir, which was your best designation so far, and why would you say so?
Well, I believe I happened to go into multilateral diplomacy. As you know, diplomacy is two sides. One is bilateral diplomacy. You deal with one country. The other is multilateral diplomacy. You deal with 193 countries at one time. That is what the UN is about. So when I was posted in the United Nations for the first time in 1980, I was very concerned. How would you manage this? 3 countries, even one country, we cannot reach an agreement. How do you reach agreement among 193 countries? That is what fascinated me. Then I realized that there are certain rules, regulations, procedures which make it possible to have at least 80% of the resolutions of the UN are these days unanimous. Well, how does that happen? Not that everybody agrees the same way or everybody looks at things the same way. You approach an issue to see whether it affects your national interest in an adverse manner. Suppose somebody put up a proposal. You may not like that proposal, but it may not matter to you at all, right? So as long as it doesn't affect your national interest, you go along. Somebody may want to declare a year of peace or year of disarmament or something. What do we lose? So like that, things gradually developed into interests, what is called global commons. Like climate change, you know about, so many problems. These are things which no country can do by itself. So multilateral diplomacy has provided the forum for open discussions and to come to decisions which do not affect your national interests. That is the fun about multilateral diplomacy. Then I continued. 22 years I spent in different parts of the world because UN has several headquarters. One is New York, one in Geneva, one in Vienna, one in Nairobi. And I'm the only Indian diplomat who was ambassador to all these 4 capitals. Unique.
Thank you, sir. That was really inspiring.
What advice would you like to give us, especially the one who really wish to opt for civil service?
Well, civil service is probably the most challenging and the most fascinating career that any young person can aspire to. Because the whole idea is to catch them young and train them for heavy responsibilities. So this examination is meant not to test your knowledge. You can learn many things, but what they test is your ability to receive training. That is the IQ, the mind, the clarity, judgment, emotional reactions, all this. So this period about, say, after graduation, you spend 2 years preparing for the civil service, or after post-graduation, you do 1 year, depending on your circumstances. And that period is meant to bring out the best in you ever since you are born. All your experiences from a childhood to 21 or 22 when you take this examination come into play. You don't realize it, how you react, how you respond, what are your feelings, personal feelings, and how do you relate it to the government's priorities. All these are very, very challenging. And at the same time, you deal with people of all kinds. And that transforms you. See, it's not like IAS is a very fascinating thing that you can participate in, development of the country, etc., etc. But it is rather narrow, I would say. But in the foreign service, the whole world is your platform. And all the issues of the world you must learn. And that gives you a fascinating career, which will be helpful not only when you are in the service, but also afterwards. I left the service 14 years ago. Still you invite me. Why? Because I have an experience which is very unique. So that is why I think civil service candidates must try and opt for the foreign service. And children don't opt for it because they don't know what it is all about. That's why I wrote a book a few months ago, IFS Charms and Challenges. It goes into all aspects from recruitment to retirement. All aspects have been mentioned just to make our young people realize the importance and fascination of the foreign service. So I hope you have a chance to read that book.
That was such an amazing answer, sir, and I wish to read your book. Well, thank you so much. The last question is, sir, you have strived a lot to establish numerous foreign universities. Nowadays, we have foreign universities above and beyond what we anticipated. The real question is, how do foreign universities play a vital role in the higher studies of the present generation?
See, education is universal. All right. Even centuries ago, people used to come to India for education. You must have heard about Chinese scholars were coming, European scholars coming, people coming and learning Malayalam and writing books. So there should be no frontiers for educational knowledge. But unfortunately, the level of education are so different in different countries that you cannot integrate it. And so what are we doing? We are reinventing the wheel. Already people have found solutions. But you are wasting your time researching on why come to the same solution. Why don't you cut it short, like the Industrial Revolution? See, when a machine is made or engine is made in one part of the world, then you don't have to do research on the same machine. You acquire it and make it more. That's what the Japanese did. Japanese were called copycats, but what they did was not just copy. They innovated on it. So this is how education should be. But unfortunately, we are rather narrow-minded about all this. And therefore, we felt that if we collaborate with foreign universities, you are commercializing education. It's a false and absolutely dangerous notion. So in 2011, when I asked for two things. One, private universities, because the government does not have enough money to invest in education. Because people say the minimum that you have to spend in education according to the UN is 9%. 9% of your GDP. Ours is not even 3% even today. And with that, you cannot have a good universities, you cannot have good education, you cannot have technology. So, private investment is necessary, and people have the money. So, you may have heard about Narayana Murthy of Infosys. He said, if we do not have 50% at least private enterprise in universities, we cannot reach that 9% target. Right? And then foreign universities. Because foreign universities, everybody goes, you spend your own money and go. Anybody who has the money will not study in Kerala. You know that. Parents send you to the most, affordable place. My father, when I was ready for college, he could have sent me to Pandalam, which is the nearest. 10 paisa I could reach there. But his imagination was that was not enough. I must go to Trivandrum. But he couldn't think of beyond Trivandrum. He could not have afforded it, a school teacher. But he could afford sending me from Pandalam to Trivandrum. So he did his biggest sacrifice in order to do that. But if he was a richer man, he would have sent me to Delhi or Cambridge or Oxford. If he was very rich, he would have sent me to the United States. So this trend is always there. Every parent will stretch more than what they can do. But if you have a system by which you have these universities here, if you have a Harvard University in Nilambur, what is wrong with it? If they are willing to come in, then we say, no, this is CIA, this is brainwashing, all kinds of false ideas we have. Politicized, that's why. So they beat me up for it. I don't know, Some students came and bashed me up for saying that you need private university. I didn't do anything. I couldn't do anything myself. But today, the same people are saying private universities are welcome. So I'm so glad. But how much time did we lose? 15 years we lost. I talked about education online in 2011. Nobody wanted to touch it. They all said, oh, no, we must talk to the students face to face. And this facility is available. Today, you can online, not after the pandemic, even before, you could have any degree in any world university free of charge through what is called open online courses. Massive open online courses. Just search for it. There are so many courses available. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to pay any fees. You just register, spend 4 weeks, 6 weeks, answer them, and then they will give you a diploma from Harvard University. Why do people don't do it? I don't understand. So they say, no, this will pollute our children, this, that, and that, and they will not give them credit. Because if you don't get credit, why should you go and take these courses? So the government must give you the incentive by saying, if you do a Harvard course, we'll give you 10 marks extra. But we don't have that imagination. That is why private universities and foreign universities are necessary. Not that we cannot have good universities, we can have, but we don't have the money and we don't have the research to do that. And that is why it's a shortcut. 200 years you'll become better, but 20 years can you become better? And that is what the education policy also strives to do. They are given 30 years. I think it is too long. Several reforms they have given up to 30 years. Like, for example, affiliated universities. You know what they are. You are a college affiliated to a university. 200, 300, 700 colleges are affiliated to a university. Can you imagine that Vice Chancellor will know even a single principal among these 700? What does he do? What does the university do? They will issue instructions. Please do this, please do that. They have no control of these colleges. So I started 20 autonomous colleges here. If you are an autonomous college, you don't go to the university for anything. They can, of course, give you general directions. But the examinations are held by the college, marked by the college, but the degree is issued by the university. So the university has to trust the colleges. And we are successful. These 20 colleges have now become the best colleges you have in Kerala. But again, it got stuck because politicization.
I completely understand, sir, and it was a very nice answer that you gave. Thank you, sir. We greatly appreciate for sharing your views on career guidance for the present generation. It was a true pleasure listening to you and getting better ideas. Thank you, sir, for being a part of the Edusprings Chapter 2.
Keep an open mind always. That's all that you
Yes, sir. I really enjoyed this session too, sir. This is myself, Mrudula, and
Parvati?
signing off. Thank you.